messy is the culture, right? People want to see that. People want to participate in that from afar. And I think where I saw it poorly done was when reality TV took off.
Oh,
seriously. So like, the era of Jersey Shore, what do you call it? What's it? Flavor Flav.
Flavor of
You
Love.
know what I mean? Like the Flavor of Love,
Yeah.
like all that. When MTV took off with all those types of shows, I felt like it made it okay to kind of like, you know what I mean? Get real messy.
Yep.
In the worst ways. And don't get me wrong, they're spinning off of like the Jerry Springer, Maury's, the talk show stuff, right?
Yeah.
But that changed. Like we don't watch that. Those things don't exist anymore. And then that turned for teenagers, right? That became the messiness of, come on. It's college basically.
Yeah.
So like Road Rules. I don't know if you guys saw all that stuff, like The Challenge, all those like crazy American shows. Anyway, so I think that's an example of how it was poorly done.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that's a good
done.
reference.
Let me stop
Actually,
there.
that was a good reference because I wasn't thinking like reality TV, but really that is kind of like where you see a breakdown with narrative and the rest of it. Abby, do you want to just go before I give you my example?
Truth be told, although I read the romance genre, I've never read a love triangle trope.
Yeah.
Not in the way that I think a love triangle trope should be done. I argue that there's a lot of misconception around the love triangle trope.
Oh.
Because a lot of people will believe the love triangle trope is, a lot of the time, there's one female lead and two men that are interested in her.
Correct.
Right? But the whole point of a triangle is it has three sides. So everyone is interested in each other. That's really what a love triangle is.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the examples that when I was doing my research that I found, I was like, but that is not a triangle. That's literally just a 2 wants 1. That's not the correct like concept of like, if he was in love with him and he was in love with her, like all the way around, then I would get it. Right?
You know what? As a concept, you've got a point. I can't argue.
You just corrected my whole thinking too, because you took it so literally, and I was just, making shit up, and I love that.
So I don't really know. Like all the main examples that I can think of in media is kind of like Stranger Things with Nancy and Steve and is it Jonathan, the brother? Like it's not really a love triangle, but it kind of is because they're both interested in her and she's had a thing with both of them, and it is messy and it is awkward.
Yeah.
And there is always part of the audience that loses.
Yeah.
Because they ship one half of the couple and not the other. Like The Summer I Turned Pretty is going absolutely crazy again at the moment because the new season's just dropped. Because that is just messy, dirty drama. I have not watched it.
Yeah.
But the amount of TikToks that I've seen of some of the drama on that shit, I'm like, that actually sounds quite good. But
yeah, you've touched on a few things there. And so, what did you think about Hunger Games, like that kind of situation? I know that's one of your favorite books.
I feel like we just knew who it was going to be from the start.
So is that done poorly then, would you say, in terms of like there's no suspense, no threat?
Like, I was convinced the whole time that she was going to be with Peter. I just knew it. Like, I was kind of like, come on, you're literally together all the time. What is Joe back home really doing?
Yeah.
When Peter's out here literally saving your life. It won't convince me, that's for sure. But
okay, so yeah, just on that, how would you have improved that particular love triangle?
The thing is with a situation like that is because they were thrown into that situation of I'm with him all the time because he's my partner in crime.
Right.
It kind of, for me, shut down that trope straight away. It would have been better of she had a female partner in crime and someone from another unit lost their partner, or they then all came together and started fighting together, and then they all fall in love on the battlefield and they all kind of do like more like human nature things, like resource for each other. And then you like, because you spend so much time in each other's company, you then get addicted to being in each other's company, and then you don't understand what that means, and it all leads to all the different, because then that leads to all directions being not sure if this is friendship, this is love, because you're in like a survival situation. So you're not really thinking about that kind of thing, I hope.
Yeah, you're more
when
of a
you're
captive.
literally about to die.
Yeah, you got other things to worry about.
Yeah.
But yeah, the example I would give is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That was like, it's a classic from back in the day. But that was, because when I was thinking about it as well, I was like, I don't really watch things that has that trope as the main force or the main source of the story. But in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this was something like from the 90s, there's two vampires going for the Vampire Slayer, and it's kind of like, I liked the contrast with that situation now that I think back, because they were polarizing. There wasn't a good choice for her to make, which is what kind of, like, for me, like why it stuck in my head as a good example, because it didn't actually take away from the main purpose of the show. And a bad example I'd give with that is Twilight. That literally like overtook the whole.
I was waiting for somebody to say it.
No one can remember anything about Twilight except for the drama. Like, at this point, no one really knows if it was a good story or not. It was just Team A versus Team B, and that's it. Pick a side.
I mean, it was going to be Team A all along. I feel like that's another one of those scenarios where it's like, in what universe did you think she was going to get with Jacob? No offense, but like, really?
And it just goes back to, again, this is why it is such a trope, because it's done in such an obvious way a lot of the time, where the audience is kind of already leaning one way, and then the writer kind of commits and doesn't feel like the protagonist can go the other way, like it's gone too far. But what I would say is, does the protagonist have to choose?
Yes.
And those sorts of things, they kind of have to, don't they?
Okay, elaborate, please.
Sort of conclusion. I feel like they kind of have to. Like, another great example of a love triangle is the Vampire Diaries. Like, Elena had to choose Damon or Stefan, and to make it worse, they were brothers. So it's one of those things where it's like, you can't really be with both brothers. I'm sure, you wouldn't want to be sleeping with the same girl as your brother. Don't know how other people feel about that, but I definitely wouldn't want to. So it's kind of one of those things where everyone was like, you kind of have to pick a favourite, don't you? For there to be a nice little bow on like a TV show and things like that, like a film. Like, are you really going to write a romance film where nobody gets together in the end?
But do you not feel that could be satisfying sometimes? Like, if they're equally bad choices, and then the person just says, you know what, I'm going to choose myself and walk away from this whole situation. ML Remy, I know you want to speak on this one.
No one likes anything unresolved, even though everything is left unresolved. But no one likes it.
Yeah.
But to answer the other question about making a choice, yes, everyone actually, so both of you have the point made. Abby, you said every point is equally culpable. And to answer your question, Carmine, yes, every part of that triangle has to make a decision. And so my example is, and this is another oldie, and I thought of it immediately after Abby clarified the question for me in a different way. Indecent Proposal, 1993. It's Robert Redford, Demi Moore, Woody Harrelson. It's a classic. And so to explain what the Indecent Proposal is you have a married couple. They're in a casino. They're having the time of their life. They don't do that. And a very rich financier approaches them, Robert Redford, and says, "Hey, I'd like to purchase a night with your wife." And it's going to change their world, right? The amount of money that this dude is saying, it's going to be right there for you at the end. But don't decide now. Go think about it. Like, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of big decisions. So go talk about it. And sure enough, they go talk about it. And, and it's a conversation. And then it becomes more than a conversation. And so that triangle, the questions, the answers, and so Robert Redford had to make the Indecent Proposal, right? And so Woody Harrelson, now he's like, I want this money, but I want my wife. Right? And the wife is like, well, I want to please my husband, but also this is very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like there's that triangle that is appropriate, right? Now everyone has something in, you know, Robert Redford came strong. He says, this is exactly what I want from both of you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like here's my transaction. It became a transaction. So I'll rough it up by saying I think that was a very well told triangle. Romance, triangle, lust, whatever you want to add into that equation.
Yeah, from how you broke it down as well, everyone had their motivation for being involved. So it wasn't like a static kind of dynamic between them all. I might have to go back and watch that as well. And
I remember, classic,
that's a classic for sure. Yeah, are you aware of that one, Abby?
No, that is completely new to me. I'm definitely going to put that on my watch list. It sounds good, because that is a debate that my partner and I have all the time. You know when you see those things on Instagram that's like, would you hit your husband for 50 grand? I'm like, yes, obviously I would hit my husband for 50 grand. And he's like, excuse me, you'd hit me? I'm like, yeah.
That movie exists.
Got prize.
That movie exists.
Wait, there's a movie on that.
So there's two movies I want to point out to you. One is called 13 Sins, 2014 horror action. And I'll describe that one in a second. And then the other one, I just want to make sure I get it. This one's it's like a teapot curse movie.
Is it another horror?
Sorry, I'll look it up. It's I mean it's one of those I should definitely it's called The Brass Teapot. Let me get that right. So let me hold on. The Brass Teapot 2012. So 2 years apart, which I always find interesting that these types of concepts happen very close together, right? So all right, let me start with 13 Sins. And I'll be very brief. But 13 Sins is that exact story, Abby. It's like very, follow that social media thread. It's very minute. Hey, slap that fly. You get a text message that says, slap that fly in your car and I'll give you $100. And you're like, what? You slap the fly and literally you get a Cash App, Venmo, PayPal of $100. You're like, interesting. And then it just keeps getting more interesting, right? Until it's not. Then it gets terrifying. But then you're like, if you stop, you lose. We take all the money back and we pin all the things that you did on you. Now it's high stakes. Now you're like, well, hold on. And, they're smart enough to do this. They're smart enough to erase every trace of themselves, right? And so that becomes how far will you go for this, right? Because there is a, I guess, a finish line, if you will. And so now you got to see if you're going to hang on. And then the other one, The Brass Teapot, is a couple, and they encounter this. It's kind of like, it's a magic teapot. You hit your spouse, money comes out.
Wait, what?
Yep. And so the harder you hit your spouse, or the more something goes down with your spouse, the more money comes out. And this couple definitely puts it through the ringer. And you just see the neighbors kind of come over and they're like, y'all good? You know what I mean? Like y'all, your arms in a cast, like you're bruised all the time. Both of you are like so jacked up all the time. Damn. Is everything okay? So if you're serious about it, you should watch that movie, The Brass Teapot. I'll stop.
It's crazy. They'll make anything into a film, won't they?
It's good though. Both of those movies are good. They stick with me, but they stayed with me because they're good, by the way.
Yeah.
So how did they there's a lot of questions there. Like, how did they find out the teapot would do that initially?
You're gonna have to watch the movie, bro.
You know what? Yeah, fair enough. Fair to say. And that kind of brings me on to my next question as well. So I want you to both put yourselves in the shoes of a writer. How would you raise the stakes of a love triangle? Just across the board. So imagine you've got the setup. It's been going well. You're coming towards the midpoint of the book, and how are you gonna raise the stakes to keep it compelling for your audience?
There has to be a nasty betrayal, right? It just has to be. It can't be sunshine and rainbows for both the whole way through. they've either both got to do something plot schemy together, or one does something completely outrageous. Like, there's got to be like hints of boundaries and things that are set in place, like throughout the film, or like in is it The Boys I Loved Before? P.S. All the Boys I Loved Before. Like, her main thing was like, oh, this is my favorite scrunchie. Like, I really want you to wear my favorite scrunchie. And then he let another girl borrow that scrunchie. Oh. And she was like, oh, it's game. Oh, it's game. It's game. I'm pissed at you now. Like, it's got to be something like that. Right?
Betrayal's good.
That character, like, the main love interest is very sentimental about, or like girl code, or something that's like, absolutely not. And then they've got to grovel, they've got to come back. Or that then just instantly puts the other person like in interest, or something like that. It depends how serious you want to go about it, because it could just be that like, nobody's that bothered anyway, and then somebody gets to somebody else, or another whole new character comes in and that wipes someone out, or it could literally be anything, couldn't it?
That's a good answer, to be honest. Betrayal. That's a strong one. Mel Remy, you got one?
Well, I agree. I think also it just needs to be permanent. Like, it has to be felt forever. That's what makes it, a betrayal, and also memorable. So my example would be, from a three-way triangle, something that fits, I think the bill on that would be, take an example, there's a couple. And for some reason, and this is going to be a really sad example, but like, let's say the mother finds she's barren, right? So now they can't have children, but their relationship doesn't survive that. So now there's a 12-month window, but then they recounsel in the 18th month, right? At that 18th month, also, hey, this other person is pregnant. Now the plot twist is that person is known to all three individuals. And the even bigger plot twist is that now, since, let's just say, woman A can't conceive, but has secured man, they are now co-parenting child through different, woman B, who will always be in the picture, right? Like, so, that is a way that you can really entangle something that feels like a betrayal, but it's permanent. And, and it'll take you through some type of journey that you have no idea where you'll end when that child's an adult, right? So like that, I think, is how many of, I don't want to call it a trope, but I think that storyline has been referenced in many, I think it's been successfully referenced in many films.
No, that's a good answer as well. It's quite tragic as well. There, like when you throw that in there's a lot of emotions that need to be processed, and again, like with that scenario, everyone's got their individual motivation as well as being part of a triangle scenario. So I think that's the reoccurring theme that's coming up. As long as there's still characters and they're not just like throwing themselves into this situation that becomes their personality and what they are. I think it's a trope that's not overdone, but there are ways of doing it. There are well-defined ways of doing it, like you both said with your examples. Like, and I think, me personally, I would go with the main character getting so close to committing to one side and then doing a 180. I know that would make everyone hate the protagonist, but for me personally, that would just be satisfying for it to come so close and then it's ripped away, because then it's like, okay, that trauma and the amplitude of the emotions you feel in that moment, I think would work well. And I think that kind of thing works well with things that are really small, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a tragedy or something like that. It could just be this, like, protagonist has been speaking to someone for almost a year. They stop talking for a week, and then next time they talk, protagonist is with someone else because that week that they missed out was so life-changing or something like that. And then the story would unfold with them explaining that decision. That would be the way I look at that trope. But it's definitely
a betrayal.
It's a betrayal. It's just, again, like you said in the beginning, people are messy. People want to see the drama. They don't want, like, nice resolutions.
Modern Family was built upon this concept very tastefully, by the way.
Yeah,
I love
Family.
that sitcom, and we've watched it. I don't know how many times. My wife, forget about it, but that is literally built upon a messy kind of family. Well, not a messy family, but you know, you get what I'm saying. Right?
Yeah,
like some of the scenarios are a bit messy.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah,
intentionally, it's written that way.
Yeah, exactly, and it's like that's another thing as well. I'm glad you brought that up because that's a good example of how they maintain the tension throughout a series. Because there was all these different dynamics, and they could change at any moment because they're all part of this family, this situation, and they're interacting on a regular basis. And then someone could just have newfound feelings for someone else, and I think it was that it was the unexpected part of it that makes it a compelling watch. Yeah, Modern Family's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for my next question about the choices, how would you both approach creating two compelling choices in a love triangle?
That's a tough one. I think it depends on the overarching setting. Like for me, like the main time that I think about like a love triangle is they're either all in the same like friendship group,
right,
or like it's, well, you know, there's this guy that I like at home and there's this guy I like at college. Like there's always like a big distance in it, or everyone like they're related, like Vampire Diaries, they're brothers and you can't decide between the two brothers.
Yeah,
I think it's just like dependent on the scenario, because if you're doing it based on a home unit and a school unit, you can build multiple triangles within triangles if you really want to. If you were going from college to home, you could embed yourself in all sorts of wiggly wobbly. So it's kind of just can be messy through like group chats, people finding out things through text.
Yeah.
Like the internet is a crazy place now anyway. It's like the perfect answer for most sorts of like messy programs. But like Love Island, they're all trapped like forced proximity. That's all. We have to have a partner because we want to win the money. Like that's another example of some, not even a love triangle. A lot of the time it's just forced proximity. We all need the same goal, but we have to do this to reach that goal. So it completely depends on like the scenario of the dilemma, I suppose.
Yeah. What do you think on that, Emma or Remy? Like if you were to have to create like two compelling choices for a protagonist, obviously I know you've been through the process of coming up with a protagonist and female characters as well. So how do you look at that as well, like in terms of the choices in the triangle?
It's time. You can love more than one person over time. And that's how I've approached it. It's, you know, and when I say time, it could just be a season. It could be a semester. It could be, you know, a summer. It could, you know, it is a cycle. It's that moment when you met your first summer crush. You know, it's that. But then that next year, you both are completely different people. You have zero interest in one another, but you're like, we'll always have that summer. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then it's not, it may not always be, you know, I would say amicable either, right?
Yeah.
You have how many references where there's the college friend group that grows up and now they're in their 40s, right?
Yeah.
And there's some residual shit that, you know,
unresolved.
And there's just people are unpacking bags in their 40s because now they're like, hey, we're in our 40s. And now I'm like, I hate my life, or, you know, I hate his life or her life or whatever. And it's like, well, they're just that, you know, how many times have we seen that? And it's messy, right? And it's the triangle. I mean, there's a bunch of triangles, right? Because there's something involved, like, I don't know, but that's how I would do it. I would stretch it across time.
Yeah.
That's what I am doing in my own. And so for Orishas, you know, with Marcos, here's the thing. Let me back it up. So the reference character for Marcos, right? The Orisha of thunder, lightning, and fire in African mythology had 3 wives. but they, and how do I write that today? Time. And they don't necessarily have to be married, because in today's day, marriage means something different to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I created 3 relationships for Marcos, and some were incredibly brief to where you might even overlook it. At least my hope. And then, 2 are going to be a lot more obvious, but one's going to be over quicker than you thought it would, but it won't be over like you thought it would be. You know what I mean? So that's how I get to play with it, because in this book, it's going to go 10 years. And in that 10 years, I get to play with how I reference these 3 entities. And that's just because it's based off African lore, not because I believe in it, to be clear.
Yeah.
But it is common practice on that side of the world. But anyway, so that's my answer, is time.
Yeah. And I think that is a good answer, because when you take out of, current scenarios, it forces the reader to think, oh, no, they're not talking about, where we're from, where we're at. So I think that as well, that displacement of just saying, what is it going to be like that far in the future? Who knows? Who knows what the rules are going to be, the standards, practices, all that kind of stuff. So I do think that's a good approach. And I think
everyone has a past.
That's true. That's true too, because it makes them who they are, I guess. And it's like, how did they get to that point? Like, how did you find yourself as part of the triangle? And then there's those questions as well.
Well, that's the thing. I encourage people not to ask questions they don't want to hear the answer to. If you can pick it up and just take it off from where you started, that might be best.
Fair to say.
But if there's some trauma that's lashing out along the way, maybe we need to take a pause and go figure out what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you have to kind of figure that out.
You know what? That's just good life advice, to be honest. Like that goes beyond tropes. Because again, that could be another inciting incident, asking the question and you don't want the answer. Then that creates...
Don't ask the question.
Yeah, then that creates another scenario. But yeah, I just wanted to get that because I know it's fresh on your mind as well, because you're still in writer mode and you're dealing with these characters and different dynamics. So I just thought it'd be interesting to get your viewpoint on that, knowing that this isn't a romance-focused book.
Well, I'll say this and be quick. I'm not intentionally writing messy moments. Right?
Yeah,
I'm intentionally connecting relationships, and it all has to come to a head and make sense in the end, to make people have to reread it again and be like, whoa, he told us the whole time this was going to happen and I didn't even realize it. That's the moment I'm trying to create.
All right. And I got one more question for you guys. So, yeah, like keeping it on topic, how do you know if the triangle's being used for a genuine exploration of the protagonist? How do you know? How do you tell the difference? Or if it's someone just,
I would say it depends on... I'm assuming it's the sense of, like, a classic trope is the good guy and the bad guy.
Yeah.
And she's deciding whether she wants to be with the good guy or with the bad guy. So it's then deciding, like, it's looking at the good parts of herself and what she enjoys about being with one person, and it's the bad parts of herself that she enjoys, and being rebellious and being, like, outside of the box and that kind of thing. So it's then kind of like you do through friends and through different members of your family. You learn different things about yourself, different parts of yourself, to then develop as an individual. Whereas, like when you said earlier, like the ending of that kind of story being, Ashley, I was with you to learn, and that's it. Like, that is a good ending for that kind of scenario where you're like, actually, as great as those two parts of me are, I am both of them, and I need somebody who can appreciate me for all of what I am, and not that picture I have with you and that picture I have with you, which is like a good way to kind of co-explore things.
Yeah.
But obviously that's in a romantic setting, but you can also do that with friend groups, family members, in like different ways. But obviously that sort of side of it, because romance has such a more like emotional depth, and people get jealous and attached. Like, it brings out different, deeper emotions compared to if you were to have that relationship with a friend, or if you were to have that like realization with a parent and things like that. It's obviously all different like perspectives, and it's a great way to bring out emotional depth in that area if it was an interest. Like, that's how it would work for me. I think it would be, oh, I see, so you're more, but I think that also comes with someone who's on the spectrum. So I deal with a lot of, like, I myself am known for masking and being different around different people and a bit of a people pleaser. So I can spot those kind of ways in myself where I'm not truly being myself. So when I can see that in a character, it makes me feel a bit more okay that I'm not 100% with everyone all the time, because it's just how I am. So when you learn that experience through somebody else, I then can see that.
Yeah, so it feels genuine to you when it's done that way. And Emma, Remy, what are your thoughts on that? Just how do you know if it's a genuine exploration of the character rather than just like shipping wars or Team A versus Team B?
Well, again, I think, I'll highlight very specific words that Abby said that I was like spot on. It's the capturing the moment, the interaction of the, what is tethering that, A to B to C. Yeah. What are those moments? And it's going to look different for each person. And so I want to expand that in highlighting that everyone has a different, to use this term, love language, right? Abby communicated kind of what she's received feedback on from her side of the table, right? But we all have, I've explored my love language, right? I've had someone, in my past say, "Hey, what's your love language?" I'm like, well, I don't know what that means. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I learned that my love language actually is, it's words of affirmation and, action. Yeah, I forget which one that one is, but it's like I actually put forth the action to do things. Yeah, but there's and I might be getting that wrong. Acts of service. There you go. Acts of service. Thank you. Acts of service, man. Acts of service. Exactly. Acts of service, words of affirmation. Those are me. But then others. Actually, that they have their and if you know them, help me call out the other ones. But the other ways to communicate love sometimes goes way over the other person's head, and then the person that is really pissed off because their love language wasn't received is the same person that won't stop that person and say, "Hey, I'm trying to love on you. Sit still for a second." That's true. You know what I mean? Yeah. And but now it's like it never happened because this person didn't take more authority in their own life, right? And to be more intentional, or they do, and it was unrequited, right? Like it was like, I don't feel that way. Yeah. And now you're like, I should never have said stop. And so that moment is, when those moments are communicated, shown, written, just expressed, I think you can see the authenticity of the connection between A and B, C and, Yeah. And so when whether it be a flashback, whether you're describing the moment in action or whether, it's whatever, when you describe those moments, I think is when the reader can tell whether you're making it up or if it's a genuine love triangle or any type of triangle. Good answers, because again, it comes down to the authenticity. You can tell when a writer's just projecting, or it was a situation that didn't go how they want, but they kind of write it the way that it should have went in their mind sometimes. And that that could come through as well. And it's like, wait, why is this person being so hyped up? Like, why? They're not even human. I told you clearly, no. I feel like that's such a strong thing in TV shows and things like that, though. Like, a great example of them changing the story because a character got so popular is The Walking Dead. Oh. Spoiler alert for The Walking Dead. Daryl was supposed to die in the first season, as in the comics, and because he blew up so dramatically, they literally took out the scene that he died in to keep him going. That's all of that time. I never knew that. I had no idea that was the case. In the comics, originally, Daryl was only meant to be a one-season man. He was not meant to be all the way till the end, I'm pretty sure. And he's the most popular character ever. Oh, hell, Daryl, I only watched the show for him.
oh my god.
Yeah.
And then that was it. Like, I've not even watched all The Walking Dead. I'm such a chronic
You're
lover.
out.
I just can't do it. I don't do well with anything gory, anything at all.
When did you check out?
Okay.
When did you check out?
Okay.
I think I'm a few seasons behind.
Oh, we should ask that quick. I like the way you asked that. When did you check out?
I stayed with it
out
for a little minute, but I fell off as well.
I checked out when old boy Rick was in some type of helicopter being flown off, and it was like the silent people and all that shit. I stopped
Walking
that.
Dead spoilers for anyone who hasn't.
Yeah,
seen
exactly.
The Walking
Anyone
Dead.
who hasn't been paying attention, spoilers.
Man. Hey, and I know that's pretty. I think that's pretty far up there, but I stopped after that. I can't even keep up. I don't. Where's Rick going? He's done now. You know,
And I think that.
and I know he's not done, but I think I saw some spoilers, but I haven't watched it. So
But that affected the writing then. If they had to like put this character in and retcon the story while it's still going, like if Daryl was meant to die season 1 and here he is, that means they didn't have the source material and they just kind of had to write around.
That's why a lot of original fans kicked it in after the first season, because it was supposed to be like this big standout thing that was for all the comic lovers, and it followed exactly as it does in the comics. Like an anime reference, Promised in Neverland. The first season was all flat to the comics, and then second season onwards, they rewrote it. Like, I stopped watching it because I was like, I love the manga, so why would I watch something that's not the manga? Like, that doesn't, like, for people who truly, truly love it, like, it's not the same.
Yeah.
I get that writers are up and allowed to have their own interpretation of the story, 100%. I support that wholeheartedly, but that's different than what you labelled it on the tin, in my opinion. Everyone was under the impression it was going to be the manga, and it's now not. So it's kind of like,
So can I say something there?
Yeah, sure.
Because that is so I'm so sensitive to that. That's my entire platform. That's my entire platform is aligning the material. The media has to, you know what I mean? And if it's not ready to be adapted to whatever it is, you know, because you feel like it's not ready then.
You took the bait from Abby there.
Man, yes, I did. But also there are really cool glow up stories that were changed, adapted to make more sense.
Right.
And I think if you watch movies that made us, I think on Netflix, I love documentaries, especially about film. But if you check out the one about Forrest Gump,
okay,
and they talk about how the book was not wildly successful. I'll put it that way. It was challenging, and it's not in accordance with the film, right? It's so in the film, we all know what the film did. You know, we all know what Tom Hanks did with the film. Like it went where it went. But does everyone own that book? Has everyone read that book?
About India, isn't it? That, you know, everyone can do what they want with it. Like, another example of a book that is nothing compared to the TV show is The Haunting of Hill House. We read the book for The Haunting of Hill House for my book club, and the members that I do it with have watched the TV show, and they were like, what? This is not anything like they literally have pulled like the finest strings to link this to here. I can't believe this is the same thing. Which is so interesting, especially when you come into it from loving the show to then go, right, everyone always says the book is better than the show. Let's go into it. Let's see what the author's got to say. And then you go, what? This is not what I watched at all.
The Magicians. Did you guys watch that show?
No. It's
sci-fi?
I've heard the name, but it's been on like that list that just keeps getting longer of things to watch. Is it worth watching?
Look, when I first started watching The Magicians, I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. Let me start with that.
Okay.
I read the book after, and you're not supposed to do that. And I get why, because I rewatched the show and I'm like, God, what did you do?
Oh man,
and you changed everything. This character is not this way. Why did you do that with this character? This person doesn't exist.
Yeah,
you know.
The Magician. I need to get on that.
Dude, we
just need to start like a sub list somewhere.
We definitely,
of all the things
you know
that
what?
we recommend each other.
That's about to happen.
I already have that list.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
I showed you all that list.
This is what I'm saying. You got the classic. Yeah, you got the classics. You came with the spreadsheet.
We could just add to it.
let's just go through the list. We'll pick something out.
Gotta have like a separate tab just for the podcast.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's going to be so many things. Yeah, and Abby, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you don't know anything about it,
I haven't seen it. Have you watched the modern one? Because they redid it recently, didn't they?
Did they? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think they've redone it.
Surprised me.
Not
enough new content out there.
But you know,
trying to rectify that.
Yeah, but it didn't need.
Your field.
But it didn't need.
That's why they've been waiting for this one.
I don't feel like Buffy needed a remake, to be honest.
It did what it needed to do.
Right?
Well, they rehash it for a new generation, don't they? It's the same with everything.
That's what they do.
Yeah, true.
And honestly, that's literally what I'm trying to do, right? Create a legacy. But that doesn't mean I want them to redo the same damn story. No, keep riffing off of it.
Yeah, there's enough story there.
Jumanji 5 different times. Stop. No.
Oh, the new Jumanji films were good.
Stop it.
I watched them, and I think they're good. But they're not Jumanji.
I was gonna say
they are
obviously not.
They're future stuff.
They're still good.
I like The Rock.
Where it's due,
yeah, we're all cool with The Rock, but come on, man.
Yeah, I don't particularly like The Rock, which is a controversial opinion in itself. But
I like Walking Tall Rock.
Yeah, Walking Tall.
Yeah,
we don't, Tooth Fairy Rock and all this other stuff. We're not too sure what went on, but
hey, I'm a Moana Rock guy now, so
I'm on that team.
That's where I'm at.
We'd have to do an episode on just The Rock.
Just The Rock.
Everything he's been involved in. Break it down.
What plot keys has The Rock been involved in?
Literally every trope. The Rock's done it all. He's done every trope.
Every single action trope they've physically in.
Yeah.
As the same guy in every damn one. Every time.
Even in his contract, he can't lose a fight.
I'm writing all types of characters, and if I hope The Rock hits me up and says, "Yo, you got a character in there?" I'm like, I absolutely do. But
after Black Adam, he needs something to,
Here's and can I say this, and we can move forward to conclude with it. But I mentioned my idea in the past, but I want to reiterate it that I want to preserve my favorite artist in my book. So I'm personally writing specific characters for people who have been impactful to me in the film,
right?
Characters realm. As an example, and I'm just going to say this, Denzel Washington.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now think about and help me out here. So let's put OTP to the side for a second. Let's step into Naruto, right? Jiraiya, Sage. Follow?
Yeah.
The Sage mode. The whole concept of the teacher and the student teaching them something, and this person just being this badass.
Don't go too far. That's next week's topic. We got a whole episode on mentors.
Guys, this is a teaser for next week. Keep listening.
This is a teaser for next week.
Yeah. I was wondering where you were going with that.
But building that character, that's the plan. And I get to pick which age of that character.
Right. Yeah.
I get to pick which age of Denzel I liked. Which makes sense. Mm-hmm. Which makes sense for this character, and it's gonna be that young 35, 40-year-old. You know what I mean? It's gonna be really cool stuff. So I'll stop with that. But that's the really cool thing about writing. I can make up whatever I want, and I'm gonna preserve some of my media heroes in here as different characters and request if I can use their likeness to preserve them in the anime in the future, right? Things like that. That's what I hope to accomplish.
I'm not sure if I've heard an author openly speak about that. They're using it in some terms of almost like a way to ensure the legacy's continued. Because it's if they're writing this character, then it's okay, I might connect with that character. Someone from the outside might see that and think, okay, let's see what they've done.
Can I say something that's not into next week? So I got the idea from Samuel L. Jackson. If you listen to an interview of him, he said, "Hey, I think he was talking to Sylvester Stallone or something like that, or I can't recall who he was talking to, but he told basically Samuel L. Jackson to get a reoccurring role somehow, right? And ended up being the Nick Fury role, and then that turned into an action figure role, and then you know what I'm saying? So, you know, being able to leverage a legacy in my book for these people that are influential to me, you know what I'm saying? Like, the idea is that their character is going to be so badass that the action figure version is going to be really popular in the future, and it's going to have their likeness, and that royalty can keep going to their estate even when they're long gone. So that's what I'm hoping to create. I'm trying to create money trees. So you know, it's all real estate, literature, real estate.
You know what? We're gonna have to break this down in the next episode.
Boom.
Yeah, you just dropped that right at the end, and that's literally a teaser for the next episode.